Hey everyone, it's TimaeuSS here, and welcome to another Honkai Star Rail video. So, a lot of you asked me, what are our CN bros cooking? And, well, here we are. I have 3 tier lists from 3 CN content creator guide groups. So, it's a bit different there. I guess it's similar to Pride one where, a bunch of content creator comes together and they put out their own guides. And we can see what our CN bros have discovered in terms of how the strength of each character right now currently compares in version 1.0. Quick disclaimer, I'll leave all the video links down in the description as well, so you can take a look. And it's, I would say, pretty much similar to what we have so far, but there are a few caveats which we'll go through here. Okay, so starting off with the first video, which I think is the most detailed one, and this was an insane theory crafter, which I'll show you. He put through everything together on a spreadsheet and then simulated all of the gears, all of the relics, plus light cones and all the skill points and everything together to see what the output is. And this was the conclusion. Okay, so he simulated everything and this was the conclusion. Let's go back a tiny bit. This was the conclusion after all the simulations. So it's got 2 lists here. First one is the main damage dealer ranking, which is looking at if a unit was used as the sole damage dealer, what was the damage output. And then this is the sub damage dealer. So for a team, you can have obviously more than one, of course, more than one damage dealer. So this is running dual damage. And how does it look like when the unit in question is being run as a dual damage dealer? Now, I think this is a testing done against the bosses, so there's not a lot of AoE comparison, but this was his theory craft, and we can see Seele at the very, very top, which is, I would say, very reasonable because we all know Seele is just insane. And he also has rankings for the light cones, which we can take a look at a later time, but he talks about how all the light cones have been compared, so he's done his part. He's done his part. So what's so damn good about Seele then? Well, in his breakdown, Seele is absolutely broken because she has obviously that damage buff from herself, and that triggers from her extra turn mechanic. It also triggers from her ultimate, and at max level it's an 80% damage increase, which is insane. And also she has a super strong trace later on. I think unlock at level 60, which I have unlocked on my main account. That is the Quantum Pen. The Quantum Pen buff is, in my opinion, one of the best buffs. Anything that you're increasing pen, so this is 20% Quantum Pen, is going to give a huge attack boost. All right, so you're doing about 11% more overall damage at the end, according to his calculation. So this is really good. Coupled with her base speed, Seele is basically the best damage dealer. And we talk about Jin, which is not being released, so I'm not going to skip over. And Yang King, he briefly goes over the unit, saying that, if you have the gear, Yang King is definitely crazy good because, of course, the crit damage, output from Yang King is just unstoppable. But because there are lots of, AoE fights and bosses will target you, then Yang King on paper looks fantastic, but in real life, in actual combat, is not, the top of the crop. But however, ranking at number, 4 or so, he says, is Dan Heng. And in terms of in real practice, Dan Heng is probably just second to Seele. So Dan Heng is a free unit that everyone gets, and late game, his multiplier on a enemy with slow debuff can go up to 561%. That is an insane multiplier, and the reason why Dan Heng is pretty much at the very top in terms of the damage. A free unit, a very good looking one at that, and absolutely insane. So Dan Heng, with his, of course, Lycone being given to you as well for free, he's a powerhouse to be reckoned with. The rest, I think, is very similar to everything else. You've got Hook, Sushan, and all those characters. So if we just look at this current tier list, I would say anything that is, let's see if there's anything that is relatively different from the other ones. I don't think anything else looks that different. Maybe in, I think, Clara, a bit lower in terms of the ranking versus everything else. But yeah, everything else looks very similar. Now, let's look at number 2. So number 2, if we look at number 2 and number 1, again, Seele is the very top, Bronya as a tier 0 as the support. And that's it. So we don't have Bailu in tier 0, but Bailu is tier 1 on this tier list for the CN. So if we take a look, I don't think we need to go over Seele. We already talked about it. Insane multipliers, 80% buff from the ult or extra turn mechanic, and also 20 quantum pen. Bronya still T0 because of the extra turn mechanic, just she cannot abuse it and cast on herself to refill the ultimate. So it's a bug fix. Let's take a look at Arlan. So Arlan has been nerfed quite a bit, now down to 1.5 actually. But yeah, Arlan's, I think not even 1.5. In my opinion, Arlan's like tier 2 at the moment. So I don't think Arlan's that good. And if we look at Clara, so Clara in this, okay, Clara in this tier list is back to tier 1, which is similar to the Western ones that we've seen. So Clara is an AoE god. She is basically going to be super, super good if you can get the AoE working. And then also, if we look at Clara's nerfs, she has been changed so that her damage reduction has now decreased from 15 to 10%. But overall, I think she's still very good. And the Walt, in his case, buffed. Got very much buffed. So overall, this tier list, again, is very much the same. In my opinion, everyone slightly got buffed, except Seele. You can see the red word basically saying it's got buffed. So Seele is still the strongest. Now, the third and the last tier list that the CN guide group have been cooking, very similar, okay, very similar. Basically, tier 0 Seele plus Bronya is the same across all tier lists that I've seen. Seele and Bronya, tier 0. And it's fitting because, you know, those two characters are an item. But here, Gepard is tier 0 as well. Now, Gepard tier 0 is actually insane because let's take a look. Gepard tier 0, I completely agree in my opinion. We sort of overlooked Gepard initially when the unit first came out. But if you do Simulated Universe at all and then use the preservation path and you choose Gepard, okay? If you use Fire MC, you know how strong the preservation path is. But if you use a Gepard, basically Simulated Universe is 100% free. He's so damn strong. Not to mention he's using the guitar case from his sister to fight. But Gepard, a low skill point usage unit that has an insane amount of shield that makes a Simulated Universe extremely free. And in the Forgotten Hall, okay, you will have to use 2 tanks ideally, and the Gepard will be on one team and the Fire MC on the other team. And that's why he is tier 0 in this tier list, which I personally really agree with, because he is just an absolutely bonkers unit. Okay, so those are the 3 tier lists the CN Bros have been cooking. Again, I'll put the list down in the description so you can take a look as well. Super similar to what we have in the West. And let me know your thoughts and what you've pulled on the T0 list. And it's TimaeuSS here, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye now.